Hello everyone, I am Dr. Pradyuta, Head Department of Microbiology, and today I am going to present on the topic types of microorganisms. Before going to the topic, we should know what are microorganisms. We all know that micro means tiny. So, these all are very small microorganisms and we cannot see with our naked eye. We need microscope to see the morphology of microorganisms. And these microorganisms are ubiquitous, their number is more and they are omnipresent, they are present everywhere. So, we can see the microorganisms in the soil, water, air, and their habitat is very high and they can live anywhere. And coming to the types of microorganisms, majorly microorganisms broadly classified into 5 groups. The first one is the bacteria and the second one is protozoa, algae, fungi, and coming to virus. So, this is the 5th group of microorganism and it is a unique microorganism. So, we will learn little more about these different types of microorganisms. So, first I will explain the characteristics of the bacteria. So, the bacteria are unicellular and prokaryotic organisms. Unicellular means they have only one cell. So, the entire metabolism is taking place in a single cell. That is why we consider the bacteria as a unicellular organisms. And we also call them as prokaryote. What is prokaryote? Pro means primitive, karyote means nucleus. So, the primitive nucleus is present, undeveloped nucleus is present in the bacteria. So, that is why we call the bacteria lacks the nucleus, proper nucleus. And also the membrane bound organelles like mitochondria, chloroplast, these all are absent in the bacteria. And coming to the cell wall, the bacteria is made up of with peptidoglycan cell wall, that is the uniqueness of the bacteria. And the bacteria will multiply with the help of binary fission, it is the asexual reproduction. And one more characteristic feature of the bacteria is its a habitat. So, they are omnipresent, we can see the bacteria anywhere. So, we can see the bacteria in the soil, water, air and different kinds of habitat. And also the bacteria exhibits majorly 3 different types of the shapes. One is the cocciform, that is circular form, and the second one is the spiral form, and the third one is the rod shaped bacteria, that is called the bacilli. And coming to the bacteria, most of the bacteria are useful and some bacteria acts like a pathogens, that means they cause the diseases. And the second type of microorganisms are fungi. So, how to characterize the fungi? So, the fungi are eukaryote. As we have mentioned that bacteria is the prokaryote, primitive nucleus is present, but the fungi is eukaryote. Eu means true, karyote means nucleus. Well developed true nucleus is present in the fungi. And its cell wall is made up of with a chitin. Just you understand the difference. In the bacteria, the cell wall is made up of with the peptidoglycan, but in the fungi, the cell wall is made up of with the chitin. And it is heterotropic in nature. What is heterotropic? So, it cannot synthesize their own food. It depends upon the others for their food. That is called heterotropic in nature. And coming to the fungi, some of the fungi are unicellular. Example is the yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and most of the fungi are multicellular organisms. And one more unique feature of the fungi is spore production. So, the fungi can produce different kinds of spores. This is about the fungal kingdom. And coming to the next one, algae. So, the algae is also a eukaryotic microorganism. So far we have mentioned that bacteria is a prokaryote, even the fungi is a eukaryote and algae is also eukaryotic organism, and that means well developed nucleus is present. And one more interesting and important characteristic feature of the algae is it is photosynthetic organisms, that means they are autotrophic, they can synthesize their own food. And some of the algae are unicellular and most of the algae are multicellular, and we can consider that the algae are prominent in oxygen producing organisms. So, on our earth most of the oxygen produced by the algae and plants. And coming to, it is one of the base of the food chain. Generally we consider that algae is the base of the food chain because it is one of the producer, it is one of the autotrophic organism. And the next kingdom is the protozoa. So, what is protozoa? You know, protozoa completely it is unicellular organisms just like a bacteria. But what is the difference between the bacteria and protozoa? Here the protozoa are eukaryotic organisms, but the bacteria is prokaryotic organism. Here in the protozoa, well developed nucleus is present, that is the prominent feature, and true nucleus is present and all membrane bound organelles are present, but in the bacteria membrane bound organelles are absent. And coming to the motility, protozoan's important characteristic feature is the movement. So it is able to motile from one place to the other place, and they can be free living and parasitic organisms. They are also heterotrophic, they cannot synthesize their own food. So but they are parasitic in nature, they depends upon the others for their food. And coming to the feeding habitats, protozoa feeds on organic matter and microorganisms. Microorganisms means bacteria. So most of the protozoa feeds the bacteria and they consider bacteria as their food. And as I told you, the unique kingdom is the virus. You know, the virus is non-living organism. You may wonder that the virus we can consider it as a bridge between living and non-living organism. When the virus is outside, it is in the air, we consider it as a non-living organism. That's why we call it as acellular organism. It doesn't have any cell structure. When it is enters inside the cell, then we consider it as a living organism. That's why it is a bridge between non-living and living organisms. And coming to the genetic material, virus doesn't contain both DNA and RNA. Either DNA is present or RNA is present. That's why we classified the viruses into two types, DNA viruses and RNA viruses. And coming to the structure of the virus, it is just a protein coat. Viruses are surrounded by a protein coat and we consider it as a capsid. And viruses cannot grow or reproduce independently, they depend upon the cell. And viruses require a host cell for the replication. As I told you, without the cell, the virus we consider it as a non-living organism. When it enters into the cell and it takes the help of the cell to replicate. And most of the viruses are pathogenic and they cause the diseases. And I am going to finish my presentation with the some examples, giving some examples of each kingdom. And coming to the bacteria, E. coli, Bacillus subtilis and Staphylococcus, and coming to the fungi, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, we call it as baker's yeast, and the Aspergillus niger and Penicillium chrysogenum, and coming to the algae, Chlamydomonas, Spirogyra and diatoms, and protozoa, amoeba, paramecium and plasmodium. These are the few examples of different types of microorganisms. Thank you.